Let's be real, most women have no idea how much power they have in a conversation. They think it's about looking good, being sweet, or saying what a guy wants to hear. Nope. The way you talk to him can literally rewire his brain to crave you. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding human psychology and using it to build a deep emotional bond that he won't want to live without. Because here's the truth. Men are addicted to feelings, not words. It's not just about what you say. It's about how you say it, the energy behind it, and the way it makes him feel. And the best part? When you talk to a man in a way that triggers emotional connection, he won't just want you, he'll need you. Not in a toxic way, but in a way that makes him feel seen, valued, and deeply connected to you. So, if you've ever wondered why some women can effortlessly keep a guy hooked while others struggle to get his attention, this is why. The way you talk to him changes everything. Let's get into it. Speak with confidence, not desperation. Most women don't realize it, but the way they speak to a man sends a message way beyond their words. You can be saying all the right things, but if the energy behind your words is coming from insecurity, fear, or neediness, he feels it. And let me tell you something, nothing kills attraction faster than desperation. Confidence is what makes a man sit up and pay attention. Confidence is what makes him addicted to you. When you speak from a place of self-assurance, you become magnetic. And it's not about faking it. It's about genuinely knowing your worth and letting that show in the way you communicate. Most women make the mistake of over-explaining themselves, seeking validation, or trying too hard to impress him. They ask questions like, do you like me? Do you think I'm pretty? Where do you see this going? And then panic if he doesn't give the answer they want. They flood his phone with texts if he doesn't respond fast enough. They adjust their personalities to match what they think he wants. And what does that do? It makes him pull away. Because instead of being drawn in, he feels pressure. He senses that she's trying to get something from him instead of simply being someone he enjoys being around. Instead, the most powerful thing you can do is communicate with certainty and ease. You don't have to prove your worth to him. You just have to own it. Instead of asking, do you think I'm pretty? Say, I love the way I look in this dress. Instead of asking, where do you see this going? Say, I really enjoy spending time with you. See the difference? One is seeking validation, the other is leading with confidence. When you own your worth, a man sees you as someone who is valuable, and that's the kind of energy he gets addicted to. Let me give you an example. Imagine two women in the same situation. Both are dating a guy who hasn't texted back in a few hours. The first one spirals. She overthinks, she double texts, she sends a hey, did I say something wrong message. The second woman, she notices, but she doesn't make it mean anything about her. She goes about her day, knowing that if he's interested, he'll show up. And guess what? The second woman is the one who gets the text. Why? Because she's not chasing. She's not desperate for his attention. She is secure in herself, and that's attractive as hell. Another common mistake is talking too fast, talking too much, or constantly filling the silence. Confident women don't rush to fill every gap in conversation. They don't over-explain. They say what they mean, and they let it sit. For example, instead of nervously rambling about why they like a guy, they might simply say, I like you. Boom. No over-explaining, no justifying, just a simple statement that holds power. And when a man sees that a woman can sit in her own energy like that, he starts craving more of it. The bottom line? The way you speak reflects how you see yourself. If you come across as unsure, insecure, or in need of his approval, he'll start to feel like he's doing you a favor by being there. But when you communicate with certainty, when you know your own value and let it shine through in your words, he doesn't just want to be around you, he needs to be. Make him feel like a hero without worshiping him. There's a reason some women can make a man feel so deeply connected that he never wants to leave, while others struggle to hold his attention. It all comes down to one thing: how he feels about himself when he's around you. Men are wired to want to feel needed, respected, and appreciated. But here's where most women get it wrong. They either overdo it and put him on a pedestal, or they refuse to show any appreciation at all, thinking that will keep him chasing. Both of these approaches backfire. The key is to make him feel like a hero without treating him like a god. One of the biggest mistakes women make is over-worshiping a man. They act like he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to them, even when he hasn't done anything special. They constantly compliment him, agree with everything he says, and make him feel like he's some kind of celebrity in their life. And you know what that does? It kills attraction. Because deep down, he knows he hasn't earned that level of admiration, so it starts to feel fake and suffocating. He doesn't feel like a hero, he feels like he's being idolized, and that's not what makes a man fall in love. The opposite mistake is never showing appreciation at all. Some women think that keeping a man hooked means playing it cool, never giving compliments, and acting like they don't need him at all. They assume that if they never acknowledge what he does, he'll try harder. But let's be real. Who wants to be around someone who never makes them feel good? If a man feels like nothing he does is ever enough, he will stop trying altogether. The right approach? Make him feel valued, but only for the right reasons. Instead of showering him with endless praise for no reason, notice and appreciate the things he does that actually matter. If he fixes something for you, say, "I love how you just handled that." If he listens to you after a tough day, say, "I really appreciate how you always make me feel heard." These kinds of compliments activate his hero instinct, not because you're worshiping him, but because you're recognizing his effort in a way that feels real. Let's look at an example. Imagine a woman dating a guy who helps her move a heavy box. If she over-worships him, she says, "OMG, you're the strongest, most amazing guy in the world. What would I do without you?" If she's too indifferent, she just says, "Cool, thanks." But if she's balanced, she says, "I love that you just took care of that for me. That was really attractive." See the difference? One is over the top, one is dismissive, and one hits the perfect sweet spot that makes him feel like a hero without feeling like he's being idolized. Men don't fall in love because they're put on a pedestal. They fall in love because a woman sees them, values them, and makes them feel capable and respected. The key is to make a man feel like he's winning with you, not like he's being worshipped or constantly tested. When you find that balance, you become the woman he never wants to lose. Use playful teasing to trigger emotional bonding. Most people think deep emotional connection comes from serious conversations, heart to hearts, and saying all the right things. And while that stuff matters, they completely overlook one of the biggest tools for creating attraction and bonding: playful teasing. It's what makes conversations exciting, keeps things fresh, and creates an inside world between you and him. When done right, teasing triggers an emotional response that pulls him closer to you. But here's the mistake most women make. They either tease in a way that feels mean, or they don't tease at all because they're afraid it'll push him away. The first mistake, taking it too far and making him feel small. Some women confuse playful teasing with sarcasm, insults, or criticism disguised as jokes. They say things like, "Wow, you really can't dress yourself. Can you?" Or "No wonder your ex left you." And then they laugh thinking it's just playful banter. But here's the thing. If your teasing hurts his ego or makes him feel insecure, it's not flirting. It's a turnoff. No one wants to be around someone who constantly makes them feel like they're not good enough. Teasing should create connection, not competition. The other mistake? Playing it too safe and avoiding teasing altogether. Some women are so afraid of saying the wrong thing that they only give serious responses, nodding and agreeing with everything he says. And let me tell you, that gets boring fast. If there's no push and pull, no playful back and forth, the conversation feels flat. Attraction needs a little friction, a little challenge. It's not about making him feel bad. It's about creating that fun, unpredictable energy that keeps him engaged and wanting more. The right way to tease? Playful, lighthearted, and flirty. It's about challenging him in a way that makes him want to prove himself to you. If he brags about how good he is at something, instead of just agreeing, say, "Oh yeah, I'll believe it when I see it." If he takes forever to text back, say, "Wow, you type slower than my grandma." If he's wearing something a little goofy, say, "Nice shirt. Did your mom pick that out for you?" See the pattern? It's fun, slightly challenging, but never cruel. This kind of teasing makes a guy lean in instead of pulling away. Here's an example. Imagine two women are on a date with the same guy. He tells them he's great at cooking. The first woman says, "Oh, that's awesome. I love a guy who can cook." It's a nice response, but it doesn't create much energy. The second woman says, "I don't know. I feel like you just microwave everything and call it cooking." Now, that creates a moment. He laughs, he starts defending himself, and suddenly there's flirty tension. That's what makes the conversation exciting. Playful teasing is what separates a forgettable conversation from an unforgettable connection. It keeps things light, fun, and engaging while making him feel like he has to win you over. The key is to tease with warmth, not with cruelty. And when you master that balance, you'll trigger the kind of emotional response that keeps him thinking about you long after the conversation is over. Master the power of strategic silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They feel the need to fill every gap in a conversation, to respond instantly, to keep talking so there's no awkward pause. But here's what they don't realize. Silence is one of the most powerful communication tools you have. When used the right way, it creates mystery, builds tension, and makes a man lean in instead of pulling away. But most women don't use silence to their advantage. They either talk too much and kill the intrigue, or go completely silent as a form of punishment, and both of these backfire. The first mistake: over-explaining, over-talking, and never leaving space for him to step up. Some women feel like they have to carry the entire conversation, so they fill every second with words. They answer questions in long, drawn-out explanations. They repeat themselves. They nervously ramble because they think silence means the conversation is dying. But here's what actually happens. When you don't leave space, he doesn't have to put in effort. He can just sit back while you do all the work, and eventually he stops feeling engaged. Men crave a challenge, and silence creates one. The second mistake: using silence as a punishment. Some women shut down when they're upset. Instead of communicating directly, they go cold, ignoring calls and texts to make a point. And while this might get a short-term reaction, it doesn't create connection. It creates resentment. Strategic silence isn't about giving someone the silent treatment. It's about learning when to pause, when to hold back, and when to let him sit in the moment instead of rushing to fix or explain everything. So what should you do instead? Use silence as a tool to create attraction and deepen connection. If he says something flirty, don't rush to respond. Just smirk and hold eye contact for a beat longer than usual. If he asks a deep question, pause before answering. Let the silence build tension. If he texts something vague or half-hearted, don't immediately reply. Give it some time. That space makes him think about it. It forces him to put in effort instead of expecting an instant response. Here's a real-life example. Imagine two women in the same situation. Both are on a date, and the guy says, "I don't know if I believe in soulmates." The first woman immediately jumps in with, "Oh, really? Why not? I think soulmates are real because..." And she launches into an explanation. The second woman, she just smiles, raises an eyebrow, and waits. That tiny pause, it forces him to fill the space, to keep talking, to prove his point. And suddenly, instead of her chasing the conversation, he's chasing her reaction. That's the power of silence. The way you hold silence says more than words ever could. It signals confidence, it creates curiosity, and it forces a man to stay engaged. Most people rush to fill the space because they're uncomfortable with it, but when you learn how to use silence strategically, you shift the dynamic in your favor. Mirror his energy to build instant connection. Have you ever met someone and just instantly clicked? Like the conversation flowed effortlessly, the vibe felt right, and it was as if you had known each other forever. That wasn't random. That was energy alignment. And one of the fastest ways to create that kind of instant connection with a man is by mirroring his energy. It's not about copying him, it's about subtly matching his rhythm, tone, and vibe so the interaction feels natural and effortless. But here's where most women mess this up. They either force a connection by being too intense or shut down and expect him to do all the work. The first mistake, coming in too strong and overpowering the conversation. Some women think they need to be overly bubbly, high energy, or overly interested right away. They laugh too hard at jokes that aren't funny. They talk too fast, and they try too hard to keep things exciting. And guess what? That actually creates disconnection because it doesn't feel real. If he's laid back and you come in like a burst of fireworks, it's not going to click. It's going to feel like two different channels playing at the same time. The second mistake, being too passive and waiting for him to lead everything. Some women take the play it cool thing too far. They barely react, they give short answers, and they keep their energy so low that the conversation never builds momentum. And if he's excited and playful, but you stay reserved and serious, the connection fizzles out fast. Because here's the truth. Connection happens when two people meet each other's energy, not when one person carries the whole conversation. So what should you do instead? Match his energy, then elevate it just a little. If he's joking around, joke back. If he's speaking in a calm, slow tone, match that pace before gradually adding warmth and enthusiasm. If he's excited about something, lean into that excitement instead of giving a flat response. It's about flow, not forcing. When you subtly mirror someone's energy, they feel an instant sense of familiarity, like they've found someone who just gets them. For example, imagine a guy who's telling a story in a relaxed, casual way. If you jump in with loud excitement and interrupt him, it feels jarring. If you barely react, it feels dismissive. But if you listen, nod, and respond with the same relaxed energy before adding a slight playful twist, now you're in sync. That's what makes the interaction feel natural, like you're both in the same rhythm instead of on different wavelengths. People don't connect through words alone. They connect through energy. The way you respond, the way you engage, and the way you make someone feel determines how much they want to keep talking to you. When you master the art of mirroring his energy, not copying, but subtly syncing, you create a space where he feels understood, comfortable, and drawn to you without even knowing why. Speak to his future, not just his present. Most people talk to a man based on who he is right now, his job, his hobbies, his daily routine. And while that's fine for small talk, it doesn't create deep emotional attraction. What makes a man feel truly connected to you is when you speak to his future, not just his present. When you make him feel like he's capable of more, like he's becoming the best version of himself, that's when he starts to see you as someone special. But here's where most women go wrong. They either focus too much on his flaws in the present or avoid deeper conversations altogether. The first mistake? Pointing out what he's not instead of what he could be. Some women think they're motivating a man by telling him everything he needs to fix. They'll say things like, "You really need to be more ambitious," or "You should be working harder." And let me tell you, that doesn't inspire him. It just makes him feel like he's not good enough. No one wants to be with someone who only sees their shortcomings. Instead of criticizing what he lacks, you need to speak to his potential in a way that makes him want to rise to it. The second mistake? Keeping the conversation surface level and never showing that you see more in him. Some women avoid talking about the future because they don't want to seem too serious or too invested. They stick to light, casual topics, hoping that if they play it cool, he'll eventually open up. But here's the thing, men remember the women who make them feel like they can conquer the world. If all you ever talk about is what's happening today, he won't feel that deeper pull towards you. So what should you do instead? Talk to him like the man he's becoming, not just the man he is today. If he's passionate about something, encourage it. If he has big goals, remind him that he's capable of achieving them. Instead of saying you should be more confident, say, "I can already see you being incredible at this." Instead of "You're not there yet," say, "I know you're the kind of person who figures things out." It's a simple shift, but it makes all the difference. Because when a man feels like you see his greatness before he does, he starts seeing you as someone he doesn't want to lose. For example, imagine a guy who's starting a new business. The wrong way to talk to him? "Are you sure this is a good idea? What if it fails?" That just fills him with doubt. The right way? "I can already picture you running this thing like a pro. It's going to be incredible watching you grow." That doesn't mean you ignore reality, but you position yourself as someone who believes in him. And belief is powerful. It makes him feel like he has someone on his side. Attraction isn't just about how you look, what you say, or how much fun you are. It's about how you make someone feel about themselves when they're around you. When you start speaking to a man's future, you make him feel like he's stepping into something bigger, something better, and that you're the person who sees that in him. Use emotional storytelling to make him feel deeply most. People talk, but they don't connect. They throw out facts, opinions, or casual remarks, but they never really make someone feel something. And when it comes to building deep attraction with a man, the way you make him feel is everything. That's why emotional storytelling is such a powerful tool. It's not just about what you say, it's about pulling him into an experience, making him feel a part of it, and triggering emotions that bond him to you. But most women don't use storytelling the right way. They either overshare in a way that feels heavy or keep things too surface level, missing the opportunity to connect. The first mistake? Turning every conversation into a therapy session. Some women think being vulnerable means dumping their entire life story onto a man, including all their past heartbreaks, traumas, and struggles. They think that if they tell him every painful detail about their past, he'll feel closer to them. But what actually happens? It overwhelms him. Men connect emotionally, but they don't process emotions the same way women do. If your storytelling feels like a burden instead of an invitation into your world, he'll start pulling back instead of leaning in. The second mistake? Keeping things too flat and logical. Some women avoid storytelling altogether because they don't want to seem too emotional. They stick to facts, simple statements, and basic responses. They'll say, yeah, I traveled to Italy once, instead of painting the picture, the sounds, the smells, the feeling of adventure. And when you don't engage his emotions, the conversation feels forgettable. It doesn't stick with him because there's nothing for him to feel. So what should you do instead? Tell stories in a way that makes him experience the emotions with you. Instead of just saying, I had a great trip to Italy, say, I remember standing in the middle of Rome at sunset, hearing the street musicians play while I ate the best gelato of my life. It felt like I was in a movie. See the difference? You're not just giving information, you're making him feel like he was there. And when he feels something, he connects with you on a deeper level. For example, imagine you want to share a childhood memory. Instead of saying, I used to play soccer as a kid, say, I remember this one game where I was covered in mud, my heart was racing, and I took the final shot. For a second, the whole field went silent and then the crowd went crazy. It was the best feeling ever. That kind of storytelling pulls him in. It makes him feel your excitement, your nerves, your joy, and that emotional connection sticks. Attraction isn't just about chemistry, it's about shared experiences, emotions, and depth. When you master emotional storytelling, you're not just someone he talks to, you're someone he feels. And that feeling, that's what makes you unforgettable. Leave him wanting more by ending conversations first. Most people don't realize this, but the way you end a conversation is just as important as how you start it. Too many women try to keep the conversation going for as long as possible, thinking that more time equals more connection. But that's not how attraction works. The secret? You have to leave before the energy dips. When you end conversations first, on a high note, while things are still fun and engaging, you create anticipation. You make him want more. But most women do the opposite. They either drag things out until the energy dies or wait for him to end it first, which kills the momentum. The first mistake? Hanging on too long, even when the conversation is winding down. Some women feel like if they just stay a little longer, talk a little more, or send one more text, it will somehow make him more interested. But what actually happens? The conversation starts losing energy. The excitement fades. And instead of leaving him thinking, I can't wait to talk to her again, he starts feeling bored, overstimulated, or even exhausted. When you stick around too long, the moment that felt exciting turns into background noise. The second mistake? Always waiting for him to end the conversation first. Some women hesitate to leave first because they don't want to seem disinterested or rude. They let him decide when it's over, even if things are already slowing down. But here's the problem with that. It makes you seem too available. If a man knows you're always going to stay until he's done talking, there's no sense of urgency, no feeling of, I need to make the most of this moment. He takes it for granted. So what should you do instead? End the conversation first, while the energy is still high. And if you're texting and the exchange has been fun, cut it off with something playful like, all right, I have to run, but this was fun, talk soon. If you're on a date, leave while the excitement is still in the air instead of dragging it out until it fizzles. This creates a sense of mystery, a feeling of, wait, that ended too soon. And that feeling, it keeps you on his mind. For example, imagine you're on the phone with a guy and the conversation is going great. Instead of waiting for that awkward lull where neither of you knows what to say next, you say, hey, I could talk to you all night, but I've got to go. Let's pick this up later. Now, you've left him with a sense of unfinished business. You've created an open loop in his mind that makes him want more. Attraction thrives on anticipation. If he always knows he can talk to you for as long as he wants, there's no tension, no excitement. But when you start ending conversations, first when you leave, while he's still engaged and curious, you create that feeling of, I need to see her again. And that's what keeps him chasing. Attraction isn't just about what you say. It's about how you make him feel. When you speak with confidence instead of desperation, you create respect. When you make him feel like a hero without worshiping him, you ignite his drive to step up for you. Playful teasing builds emotional bonding, and strategic silence makes your words more powerful. Mirroring his energy strengthens your connection, and speaking to his future makes him see you as someone he needs in his life. Emotional storytelling creates depth, and ending conversations first leaves him wanting more. This isn't about games or manipulation. It's about understanding human psychology and stepping into your power. The most irresistible women aren't the ones who chase over-explain, or try too hard. They're the ones who know their worth, create excitement, and make a man feel something he doesn't want to lose. Because at the end of the day, it's not about making him addicted to you. It's about becoming the kind of woman who naturally draws people in without even trying.